Hey everybody, it's Lauren DeLisa Coleman with Filmio's Inside series, and we are here at the Venice Film Festival with our very next interview. I have Carol Polikoff with me, who has a special relationship to Film.io, which she will get into. Carol, welcome to the Inside series, and we're so glad that we could capture you for a few moments here at the Campari Lounge. And I understand that your position right now is looking out onto the ocean, and I can only imagine it, and with the Campari not too far away. So thank you so much for coming on over to the lounge and coming to talk with us about the film.
Thanks for setting the scene, Lauren. You should look into directing yourself, frankly.
Oh,
you've got
wow.
the Campari, you've got the glass.
That's going to be my next thing, yes.
The
directing,
sea,
just,
it's beautiful.
On the side. Let's begin at the beginning, as they say. Give us the title of your film and the synopsis, please.
Okay, you got it. The title of the film in English is Speak Sunlight. In Spanish, it would be called La Voz del Sol. It's been translated in a number of different languages. This is a very personal project for me because I knew the author very, very well. In fact, it's the first book I optioned. I did, yes. I mean, that's a side story that makes it even more emotional for me to come in and make this film because it's his memoir, and he is no longer with us.
And the author, just so you guys know, is Alan. Do you pronounce his last name Jolis?
Alan Jolis, yes. Yeah. And I became very close with him. The very short story of this, because we don't have a long time, is that I came upon it by chance, a friend of a friend. When we're all in this business, we probably have a lot of people saying, you've got to go see this friend of mine. They've got a great idea for a movie. And you're always kind of, okay, And I went to a reading in Paris where I've been living most of my life. I was ready to I sat on the aisle. I was ready to run out of the room. And in 10 minutes, I was crying because the book was so utterly emotional. The passage he wrote just put the nicest kind of arrow into my heart, and I decided to option the movie, and this was over 15 years ago. So it's been a long haul. It's had many lives, this movie.
For those of you who don't know, tell us the story in essence.
Of course, in a very short little paragraph. Of course, most of you don't know. It's a coming-of-age story about a young boy in Paris. It is 1965. It is the Beatles, and when we go to Spain, it's Franco, and a lot of different contexts that we live within this really kind of insulated story in a way. And he is the youngest son of a diplomat family living in a gorgeous big house in Paris. And where does he spend most of his time? In the kitchen with a 150-kilo nanny cook and her 150-kilo husband. It's always like this. And they have the life that he always wanted to have in that kitchen, and he goes down there and he is alive. Then he has to walk upstairs and be very prim and proper at the dinners that this couple make and serve for all his diplomat friends of his parents. But his life is in this kitchen, so these two actually have raised him and given him the kind of life and energy and fun. And Maruja, the main character, is making the soup, and she's smoking a Gauloise, and it's like a Jacques Tati movie where all of a sudden Alanito, Alan, runs in with an ash crate right before the ashes fall in the soup. I mean, it's really quite a wonderful kinetic opening to the film. And what we find out in the midst of the film is that Maruja will not go see a doctor, but we know that she has some not such great news about her health. We don't know what. And she asks the parents if she can take Alanito to Pamplona with her for their summer vacation, because they have a little place there. That's where they come from. And the parents say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Next year, that would be fantastic. He's got tennis lessons in Biarritz. She says to them, it must be this year. And eventually they're on the train. They get to Pamplona. It's 1965. Lots of things I could tell you about that. And what Maruja's trying to do is put every memory she can into this little boy's head, 14, let's say, before she goes. Everything that she would have done for a lifetime, and she wants to give him it in one summer. And lots of things happen. It's funny. It's extremely emotional, but it's super funny. It's the humor and the setting, and eventually he runs, I'm not giving too much away, he runs the bulls, and there's just all this folkloric kind of seeing it through his eyes, but it's at the core a very emotional story.
Okay, Carol,
momentous
I think
summer.
you might get the Film.io award so far for the best synopsis
Oh,
that any filmmaker has given me, like, to date,
oh,
because it's
Lauren.
usually like one or two lines, and it's, but
Yeah,
you've got the visuals going and the hands, and like you can't wait to now see this film.
I have
Amazing
eaten this
job. Like,
film.
I feel like you're pitching to like CAA, UTA, whatever. Like, okay,
Done,
you've got
dusted.
it down. I'm gonna ask you to
Thanks.
pitch anything
I'll
for
pitch something
me.
for you. No problem. I
You've got
freelance.
it down. So adapting anything from a book, there has to be massive challenge. And
It's
you
something
said that
I've done a lot.
did an option on this 15 years ago. So you've really been living with this story for a long, long time.
I
How
have.
did you kind of finally get it to see the light
Together?
of day, really, and come to
I'm gonna
this
tell
point
you-
now at Venice?
It's a really good question, Lauren. It's probably a longer answer, but I'll try to give you the short version of it. As many of the filmmakers you're talking to will tell you, sometimes things happen in extremely quick motion, or you're rushing to do something and you wish you had a little more time. This is kind of the opposite. Literally every time I went out with this 15 years ago, everyone said yes. It was a beautiful story. It was going to be done as an English language film, as a kind of art film. It was set up at the Canal Plus Spain for a while, and then it went into turnaround because they had a different agenda. I kept it in the back of my head, and I knew I was going to make this one day when the right circumstance came, from the right studio with the right partners, quite frankly. And it went around and around, and in the meantime, without getting this to be too much about me, I've been a producer most of my life, and I wrote my first screenplay, coincidentally, another one of Alan's books. This never happens. Alan was like, "Oh, you've optioned two of my books. I mean, this film business is really easy." I said, "Probably never has this ever happened." But it was he that encouraged me to write the screenplay for his other book. And I did that to some success, I must say. I sold it to Amazon, and it became a very big movie, also not yet made. But at that point, I had the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to take Speak Sunlight, I'm going to read it again, and if it's inside me, I'm going to rewrite it. So I did, with Alan's angel, because he's no longer with us, kind of pushing me along. And I don't want to make this too sentimental, but it is quite so. I finished the screenplay, and then I said to myself, I've swallowed this movie, I'm directing it. And so this is my first feature as a director, and all the agents and everyone said, "Oh, that's great, but you know what? Pick something without period, kids, animals, bulls running down, Steinway pianos running after you down a street."
Right.
And I said, well, not that, I've never taken the easy way out, but there was absolutely no question that I would do this. And then I met Babieca and Denise O'Dell, who I'd known in the first go-around of this chapter 15 years ago, and I went back and I said, "Denise, look, you remember this movie, this script?" And she goes, "Absolutely, what's going on?" I said, "Well, the good news is I'm taking it out, I'm making it." And I said, "Well, the other news is I'm directing it." And she looked at me, she says, "Let me read it." We ended up having a fantastic meeting, the kind of meeting you dream of. We're sitting in a big room, and she says, "Well, I think this is great. I think we may have one problem here." I said, "Well, what?" I said, "Me." She said, "No, not at all. It has to be in Spanish." And I said, "Yes." And she was shocked. I said, "Absolutely, we're going to do it in Spanish." So I added another thing onto my list of challenges to do. But since then, it has gone like no one has said no to us. Like I said, I think it's pretty official. We have the most extraordinary cinematographer and editor, both who just have been working with Almodovar, signed on. So that gives me enormous confidence, and so with the financiers as well. So it just can't. It's been like on the French would say sur les roulettes, on wheels since, and with Filmio, which has been a very challenging, interesting new chapter.
That's what I was going to say. Please get into the relationship with Filmio, how you kind of came to be associated with the platform, because we're new and growing and all that.
Yes.
But you're part of the family. So
yes,
how did you, besides being, I can already see, like, you just, if there's some opportunity out there, Carol Polikoff is going to get it, right? But
Girl.
How did you specifically come to
Thanks
this
for
one?
that. Well, it's true. When I'm passionate about something, I'll get there, I think. Really, Orlando Pedrosa, who's big part of the company for sure, with Denise and his other brother and Marta, who's also there. This entire group has been very involved with Filmio from its outset. You'd probably be better asking them about the entire history, but they presented it to me and they said, look, we're a part of this. We think this could be great for the film. Here's the platform. It's quite nascent. We're just building and doing this, and we'd love for this to be one of the first films. And I thought it was a great idea. Listen, I'm a neophyte when it comes to blockchain. I know a bit about financing. I'm concentrating on a lot of other things with this movie, so I have a very good set of partners in hand to put the rest of the pieces together. But the Filmio piece could be quite significant, and for me, it signifies something that I've been thinking about the film industry, which is why I moved from the States to become a European filmmaker and live here. I've lived here for over 25 years over in Europe, is that you democratize filmmaking. What you do is you let the crowd be the decision maker. I know it sounds very naive and kind of pie in the sky, but in fact, a lot of the blockchain, a lot of the, more than I do, the philosophy is take and put your power in your own hands. You make decisions, and if we have enough people making decisions on their own, that becomes a big community. And so I think it's a brilliant idea, and of course all of the marketing and being able to have people be a fan before the movie's made, find out what's happening when it's happening, and feel connected to the process is fantastic. For, I don't know what the amounts of money are and how many people we're going to get, but I think we've gotten a lot of reaction to this. But I think Orlando and Ian will probably be better to tell you about that. But I'm very enthusiastic and hopeful that it's going to go like a house on fire.
Well, it's so great to interview you for a number of reasons, but also because you are as well the first filmmaker who I've spoken to who is actually on the platform. So of course I have to ask you, what has the experience, been like? And you're not allowed to say anything bad. No, only joking.
Okay. Yeah,
but just in terms of like really the logistics and all of that, did you find it easy, user friendly? Did you kind of have to kind of navigate a little bit? What did you think, or what was your experience? Kind of just getting started, because it's always like, at least for me, like I love tech, but I always have to get through that slight barrier of, okay, I have to get myself in the zone, like of learning this new situation that is particular to whatever I'm dealing with. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. This was a big learning curve in the sense that I was getting into the site, navigating it with some help. But I have to say that from the first, and again, it sounds very Pollyanna perhaps, and that I'm doing this for the team, but it has been a great experience. From the beginning, Orlando said, look, we're going to set up a call with you and Ian. We're going to do this dog and pony show. I sat there on a Zoom with them, and they literally went through every single part of what it was, and a lot of things went over my head, but they were there. They set up 3 meetings for me just to get my feet wet, and then we put our deck together with some input from them, and it's really been quite smooth. I mean, all the business side, again, is more with Orlando and the team, but as a creator, I've been supported. They've liked the material. I've gotten good feedback. And now I am waiting for more feedback when it, I think, goes live. I mean, we're out of beta from what I understand, but hopefully real people will be able to see the content and start joining up.
I don't know. I just think this is all just very cool. I'm so glad to see you there at, Venice. And because you are, I mean, this is maybe your debut as a director, but you're clearly, a veteran within the industry itself. So I would love to ask you, how do you think filmmakers can make the best of attending a film festival such as Venice, where there's an awful lot going on? You want to maximize your time, whatever budget you put aside to come there. I know obviously people are watching films, but it's also about business, right? Do you have any like special Carol tips or anything like this that you have learned like kind of along the way to say, what, I really can, I maximize my opportunity there or whatever? Or do you feel like it's more maybe random that you happen to meet people and you happen to run into them or whatever? I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like that with like Cannes Lion Festival that I've been to, several times. And when I first went, I was, very regimented, this schedule, that, or whatever. But then the following years, I kind of just let it flow, and it was just so much like more explosive for me. So what do you think? I'm very curious.
I've done, I'm a bit of a veteran of Cannes. I go quite a lot because I was living in France for so many years. Listen, I think that you have to be open to kismet, and it happens all the time. It happened
Absolutely.
to me when I least expected it on a Vaporetto coming out to the festival, and I met somebody, just happened to miss the Vaporetto together. She was wearing a badge, I was not, and I was with a few friends, and we started to talk, and it ended up at a lunch yesterday, and from that lunch, she happens to be working with someone I've known for 25 years. I mean, it's an extraordinary meld of different people, and I do believe that whilst take the example of when you're traveling. Do you not meet more people when you're traveling than when you're home and you go out? It's this, you're in a kind of vacuum, the best kind, here, where I think people are a little more open to meeting new people or sitting at a table where you don't know someone and saying, oh, and when someone's wearing a badge. So I think that the thing is just be open, be curious, go see films, but also see people, make yourself available, go to panels. People at panels are amazingly approachable. I've done some, and people are shocked that they'll give me a card and I'll follow up, or because I really think you make a when you do a panel, you kind of make a pledge of sorts, and because you want to be open to the public, not just to promote something that you're doing. So I think it's just about people. Films, to be honest, you can see anywhere. An opening, of course, there's a specific energy, and you always want to go to those openings with cast and crew. But really see things, talk about things, be open, and don't kind of be too shy. It's hard for someone who's, an introvert or an introvert extrovert, which is a lot of what film people are. But I do think that I use the word of networking, which is, it's overused, but it's extremely important. Just be open and meet people, and I think you could wind back to most people being able to find partners or ideas or two, and they'll say, I was sitting at and you know what, it's crazy, but if I hadn't gone to that party. So I think the thing is, you can sleep when you go home, go to parties, go have drinks, meet people, and amazing things can happen.
I think that's great advice. Like, don't overschedule, and keep yourself really open. And I'm glad you mentioned about the panels too. Because no one else has mentioned that just yet. So I can just tell you are really maybe almost 24/7 out there. I don't even want to try and guess how much sleep you've gotten, because you're watching films, you're allowing things to happen. You're at panels. Carol, you are really holding it down.
Well, you flatter me, madam. You totally flatter me, madam. You've made this a very easy interview with all your unbelievably positive questions.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm really excited about the film. I hope that we're going to take it to, the next thing is San Sebastian. I don't know if you're going to be there, but that's an obvious place for us to start putting a Spanish film together. I can only say that Spain is on fire, as you probably know very well. So I'm very lucky that my first directorial attempt is going to be with such an industry so full of energy and passion, and I have the most amazing crew. So and best actors. I had chose 2 actors with the team, and we said if we got these 2, and we got those 2. So there'll be lots of challenges ahead. The one thing I can tell you, and that you know too, is that there'll be many surprises. One thing won't be, we're going to shoot next May and June, and we're going to make the movie. So I'm excited.
Well, Carol, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Likewise.
Continued success with everything that you're doing and the unfolding of this film. I think you're going to do Alan very proud. And it was a pleasure talking with you. Super fun.
Greatest luck with Filmio. I'm really a big fan. And as they say here, coraggio, because you have a lot of interviews left to go. So you better get your sleep too. Okay.
I have no doubt it's going to be massive, massive success. Massive. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Lauren.
And thank you guys for watching as well. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with Carol in Venice today. Don't miss the very next episode of the Inside series that we have for you here at film.io. I am Lauren DeLisa Coleman, and thank you for watching.